Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
1 hour till the weekend. Let's do it here on Locked In. What's up, G?
How we feeling, brother?
Can't complain.
I mean, I've got a lot longer till my weekend, I'll tell you that.
What do you got tonight?
I got Crosstown Clash on KREFSports.tv.
Oh, come on.
So I'll be doing that. And then I've got doubleheader baseball at Oklahoma Christian on Saturday. So I've still got some leeway in my work week, but everything's good. We're not complaining. Get the best seat in the house both places, so we're excited.
That's what's up. Hey, you want to hit us up on the text line today, please do so. 405-651-3439 is how you get in touch with us and make your voice heard. We love hearing from all of you on a daily basis. The show is brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno, family-owned and operated. Half-price oil changes on Saturdays, so if you need to get that taken care of this weekend, head out to Dorsey Jones. But more importantly, if you're shopping around for a new vehicle, GMC offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road, and Dorsey Jones has a staff of people that are eager to assist you before, during, and after the buying process. So make the short trek out to the west side, to El Reno, and check in with Dorsey Jones. Well, Grayson, Oklahoma commits and targets continue to lock in official visits. We're starting to see the graphics hit social media. This is a little bit ahead of the curve, honestly. I think historically it's been March that you see these kids starting to publicize their OV plans with Oklahoma, but the entire calendar has kind of gotten shifted ahead in recent years more and more. And so here we are in February. The majority of OU's commits and a good deal of their top uncommitted targets have already cemented their official visit plans, whether they themselves have announced publicly or not. I believe we have in the range of 16 to 20 confirmed official visitors listed over at OUinsider.com. So that's where you can find the full list. But as we reported first on these very airwaves yesterday, I think the two most important OVs in my mind that are set for uncommitted targets right now are Jamison Roberts, the quarterback. We mentioned on this show yesterday, broke the news that he's going to be OVing at the Champion Barbecue June 12th through the 14th. And then the other one that really sticks out to me, because I'm in love with this kid's tape. I know you've watched it as well. I know that it's very easy to watch what he did as a junior out there in the state of Utah and get excited about what he's going to be at the next level. But Bodie Sparrow is going to be on campus May 29th through the 31st, OU's first big official visit weekend. And so the expectation right now is that Sparrow's going to visit unofficially for the Future Freaks Junior Day on March 7th. And without question, unless he makes the decision to commit somewhere else before then, he will be OVing to Oklahoma May 29th through the 31st. And when you consider, Grayson, that not only are the Sooners in really good shape with Bodie Sparrow, but they are the clear leader in the clubhouse for Jalen Scott, the four-star safety out of Mobile, Alabama, and a childhood buddy of Jamison Roberts, I think we ought to give it up to Brandon Hall, man. That's one of those guys, and Jay Valai was the same way. They don't necessarily get all the pub that a guy like Todd Bates does when he has a really strong recruiting haul, or that a guy like Emmett Jones does when he has a really strong recruiting haul. But Brandon Hall is just a dude that brings in animals every single freaking year.
Yeah, he does. And I don't think Jalen Scott and Jamison Roberts are going to be separated for that much longer. I think a lot of intel points in the direction of them being Oklahoma Sooners. The Bodie Sparrow recruitment is the one that I'm a lot more interested in, because to me that would be a massive win for Oklahoma. Because you're talking about a kid out of the state of Utah who is being heavily pursued by Utah and by BYU. We've talked on these airwaves that it's hard to get these guys out of the state of Utah. So just because of historical precedents and the guy being where he's from, that would be a pretty intriguing win for Oklahoma if they are able to get it done with Bodie Sparrow. Obviously, you want to make sure he doesn't commit before he visits at the end of May. But that could be one of those where you look back and say, if they get it done with Bodie Sparrow, given the type of prospect he is, that might be their biggest win of the cycle.
Let's talk philosophically for a second. You're from the state of Texas.
Yes, I am.
I have spent a lot of time down in the state of Texas covering recruiting over the last 6 years.
Nice
a
place.
lot of time. Yeah, state of Texas is great. No state income tax down there. Property taxes go crazy, but there's no state income tax. But think about the recruiting landscape in the state of Texas 20 years ago versus the recruiting landscape today. Grayson, I want to see if you're on my same wavelength here.
Okay.
What is the main thing that has changed in the last 20 years?
The main thing that's changed in the last 20 years,
In the state of Texas, in the recruiting landscape.
In the last 20 years. I don't know, they go all over the place?
Exactly that. Exactly
Okay.
that. They go all over the place.
Yeah, no, the best kids aren't necessarily staying in Texas.
20 years ago, a ton of those kids went to Oklahoma. A ton of those kids went to Texas. A ton of those kids went to Texas A&M. You'd have some that, maybe they flew under the radar a little bit more. They went to TCU or SMU or Texas Tech. Obviously, LSU has had a strong presence in Houston, historically speaking. But it is open season in the state of Texas more than it ever has been before in the present day. And so, as the University of Oklahoma, when you are a staffer, a representative, one who holds power and sway in the football offices of the University of Oklahoma, and one that is charged primarily or partially with making the philosophical decisions as to how you're going to recruit. Here's what I think, and this is pertinent to the case of Bodie Sparrow. Here's what I think Oklahoma is counting on. Here's what I think is going through their collective mind. Here are the conversations that are being had in those meeting rooms. Over the last several decades, the strongholds for OU on the recruiting trail have been the state of Oklahoma. That will never change. And the state of Texas. But you can't count on raiding the state of Texas for top dudes the way that you could 20 years ago, because now Oregon can come into the state of Texas and steal guys and win those high-profile battles for elite talent. Ohio State can do the same thing. Penn State has, on occasion, made a foray into the state of Texas. You have all of the SEC schools, Florida, Georgia, Miami as well. All of these schools are coming to the state of Texas because they understand what the concentration of talent, the density of talent looks like in that state. We all know the Lone Star State's reputation as one giant football factory, right?
Correct.
But if you're Oklahoma and you are mindful of that reality, what's the pivot? The pivot, I think, is to look at the schools a step below you in terms of prestige, tradition, historical success, but the teams that have had, or I should say that have been able to sustain some measure of success that by their standards is acceptable. A team that has consistently been able to win on a level that their fan base is satisfied with. And the teams that come to mind are maybe not the only teams that come to mind, but I would say several of the teams that come to mind in that regard are Kansas State, BYU, and Utah. The reason Kansas State has been successful, the reason Kansas State, year over year, has been able to win 8, 9, even 10 games every so often. They have a really special team. You think back on that 2012 team with Colin Klein that made some serious noise in the national championship race that year. But the reason Kansas State has been able to sustain success over the years is because they have a formula on the trail that works. They own their backyard and they develop. the same is true of BYU and Utah. The state of Utah and the state of Kansas are two states that produce plenty of talent on the gridiron in the prep ranks year over year. But those states have far less exposure than the Texases and Alabamas and Floridas and Californias of the Union. And so what happens? Those kids in the state of Utah wind up going to BYU or Utah because those two schools prioritize those recruitments. And they go all in to make sure that nobody's getting out of their backyard. Same thing in the Sunflower State. Kansas has been up and down, obviously, over the last quarter century. They've had their highs. They've had some real lows. But Kansas State has been consistent. And the reason being is because Kansas State has that formula that's rooted in their geography that works. And so what Oklahoma is doing in the 2027 cycle, and this is not hard to decipher, it's not difficult to notice, but I think it's very intelligent on the part of the staff, is they're looking to the state of Utah and they're looking to the state of Kansas, and they've essentially said, hey, if other schools are going to crash our party in the state of Texas, we'll go crash the party for BYU and Utah in their state, and we'll crash the party for Kansas and Kansas State in their state.
Pretty good plan.
It is. Oklahoma has the number 2 player in the state of Utah committed right now in Crew Jones.
Yes.
They are the leader. They are the leader by my estimation, and I think that would be the industry consensus for the number 1 player in Utah and Bodie Sparrow. Look at the state of Kansas. The 2 players that most considered to be the cream of the crop in that state in the 27 cycle. Gus Corsair out of Hayes. Tyson Ross out of Andover, suburban Wichita. Both those guys are OU leans. And so I love the way that Oklahoma is adapting to the modern era of roster construction in the NIL-dominated landscape that we're in. And I love the way that they've essentially said, hey, look, we will go places where we can flex the fact that we're Oklahoma. In the state of Texas, the Oklahoma brand maybe doesn't carry the same weight it did 20 years ago, but it's always going to carry the same weight in places like the Beehive State and the Sunflower State.
And, I mean, this goes back to something I've said sporadically since I started doing this show. But we all know that geographical lines don't really mean much anymore. We're in the hyper-internet era where everybody's connected. It doesn't matter if you're from Oregon. It just matters how far away from home you want to go. It doesn't matter if you're from Texas. It doesn't matter if you're from Florida, California, whatever. How far do you want to go? Because we're all connected. It's a so much more connected world with conference realignment and the internet that where you are doesn't mean anything. Can you play football? And do you have can you play football? And then as a school, do you have a charismatic pitch? Do you have a charismatic front office, charismatic coaching staff? Can you go somewhere far and make somebody still feel like they're at home? That's all that matters. It doesn't really matter, hey, I'm going to make sure that I get everybody within a 200, 300-mile radius, because those kids might want to go spread their wings somewhere else. So, man, like there's a lot of traits and characteristics here of Oklahoma that are absolutely fantastic in the fact that they can go to California or to Utah or to Kansas and grab some of those kids.
Well, and frankly, I'm glad you brought that up as well. I wanted to go there anyway. There are kids in the state of Utah and there are kids in the state of Kansas that want to, as you put it, spread their wings. They want to get outside state lines. They want to play somewhere other than the in-state schools. But for so many years, I think there are plenty of programs, plenty of top-end programs across the country that really just haven't even tried, at least not tried very hard, to horn in on BYU and Utah's action in their state or Kansas and Kansas State's action in their state. You know, I think back to Darius Afalava in the 2025 class. Many will forget that Darius Afalava exists because he was hurt his whole freshman year last season. But that was the number 1 player in the state of Utah in the 2025 cycle. And Darius Afalava, I remember having so many phone conversations with that kid over the course of his recruitment. And the thing for Darius Afalava was that he wanted to get out. He wanted to leave the state of Utah. And Utah really, really, really pushed hard for him, and that made it difficult. It came down to OU and Utah for him. But he didn't really want anything to do with BYU. He wasn't that eager to stay local. He felt like he needed and wanted to challenge himself to get outside of the bubble that he had kind of always existed in. And there will be kids everywhere that feel that same way. That's why I don't always begrudge Oklahoma when they don't get a kid in their own backyard. Sometimes a kid just
they just want to leave.
Sometimes they just want to leave. Yes, exactly. It giveth, it taketh away. You're not going to win every single in-state recruitment, but in some cases, the obverse of that is you may benefit in the case of a kid like Darius Afalava, who maybe 20 years ago, if he's coming out, he winds up at BYU or Utah anyway, not because he wants to go there, has an expressed desire to stay within state lines, but those two schools are the schools that recruit him the most devotedly, and they make it clear, hey, we want you more than anybody else. And so for Oklahoma, you got to adapt. You got to be proactive, and you got to be reactive. Everybody does in this constantly evolving world that is college football in 2026. And so when I see Oklahoma lock in Crew Jones as early as they did, when I see them pushing as hard as they're pushing for Bodie Sparrow, when I see them right there at the front of the pack for Gus Corsair and Tyson Ross, to me, really kind of validates a lot of the things that I thought and anticipated when this Oklahoma front office took shape about a year ago under Jim Nagy.
Yeah, no
they're
doubt
doing
about
the right things.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We've had a question on the text line and another question just now on the YouTube chat. By the way, search KREF Sports on YouTube to find us. People are wondering about Zane Rowe in light of the Sam Spiegelman write-up.
That's fair.
From yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell us there?
How about this? We are due for a timeout. On the other side, want to get to our Friday film study, and we will. But the very first thing that we will hit off the rip is the Zane Rowe situation. That cool?
Let's do it.
All right. Sounds good. Folks, going to hear from our sponsors real quick. We will be right back here on Locked In. You're listening to the Ref Sports Radio Network. We will talk Zane Rowe on the other side. Keep it here.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Coach Stoops here for Van Hoos Fence. If you want to work with the best local fence company and get championship service, contact my friend Mark and the Van Hoos Fence team. Van Hoos Fence gives each customer the most professional craftsmanship and competitive pricing in Oklahoma. From wood to chain link to vinyl to metal fences, the Van Hoos Fence team does it all. Contact the Fencing All-Americans at Van Hoos Fence, 405-735-1167 or vhfence.com.
Good times are calling your name at the Showplace Theater with acts like Chicago, March 13th. Randy Hauser, March 21st. And Nate Smith, March 27th. Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
Are you ready for spring sports season? Gear up like a champion with Balfour & Norman's exclusive apparel for OU softball, baseball, and gymnastics. From the diamond to the gym, we've got the latest shirts, hats, and fan gear that show your Sooner pride in style. Whether you're cheering in the stands or repping your team around town, Balfour of Norman has you covered. Visit us today on Campus Corner or online at crimsonproud.com. Balfour of Norman, where you'll find everything Sooner.
Looking for one of the best burgers in Norman? Pull into the Garage, where everything's made fresh and the beers are always cold. From onion burgers to tacos to loaded fries and rad hour every day from 11 to 6.
The Garage, fast, fresh, and full of flavor. The Garage, burgers, beers, and more. Tune in every Friday to hear more about the Hal Smith Restaurant Group during The Rush and the Dari Noka Show on The Ref.
Are you living with chronic pain, mental fog, addiction, or sleepless nights? At OK Theta and Wellness, husband and wife team Dina and Chad, a nurse practitioner and neurosurgeon turned wellness coach, have helped people find relief for years. Their unique, brain-centered approach uses innovative technologies to nurture your well-being and transform your body and mind. From the EECP machine for cardiovascular health and improved blood flow to the Theta chamber for sleep and emotional balance to the StemWave and Morph device for pain relief. This is a new path forward. Visit oktheta.com today.
This is Jake Aldridge, partner at Aldridge Teasdale. We know accidents happen when you least expect them. But if you're injured, your path to recovery and justice starts with the right attorney by your side. At Aldridge Teasdale, we understand that every injury is personal and that every story matters. You deserve an advocate who will fight for you. But don't wait. If you need medical assistance, you need to get it now, and we can help you with access to the best doctors in Oklahoma. Call Aldridge Teasdale today, 405-447-HURT. That's 405-447-4878.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
It's locked in here on the Ref. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton with you. Okay. Let's dig into the Zane Rowe recruitment. For those of you unfamiliar, Zane Rowe is a 4-star defensive lineman from Denton Guyer High School in the state of Texas, a school that OU knows and has recruited quite well over the years. The alma mater of current Sooners Peyton and Eli Bowen, alma mater of recent past Sooners Jackson Arnold and Josiah Martin. Zane Rowe is 6'5", about 255 pounds. Projects at this point as a 3-tech at the next level, but still has the twitch, still has the technique to be able to play defensive end. And so offers a little bit of versatility there. Not unlike Nigel Smith when he was coming out. But Zane Rowe was committed to Oklahoma from April of 2024 up until January of 2025. So was pledged to the Sooners for almost 9 months. Backed off his pledge in January of 2025. No hard feelings with Oklahoma. Said, hey, look, I just made a decision too early. I got to make sure I'm doing the right thing. So backed off the pledge. He was on OU's campus like 2 weeks after he decommitted. So he's been to campus a ton, even since he backed off his first pledge. Took a bunch of other visits to many other schools. Georgia got regular visits from Zane Rowe, so too did Texas A&M. He made his way down to the 40 acres. Got out to West Texas and saw Texas Tech several times. But just recently, he announced that he'd be committing March 13th and that his short list of finalists, Grayson, would be Oklahoma, North Carolina, Oregon, and Washington. That is a bizarre Final Four if you've been tracking the Zane Rowe recruitment over the years. And he has also kind of touted Ohio State as an unofficial 5th contender in the race. But Oklahoma, Oregon, Washington, and North Carolina are the finalists. Texas Tech, nowhere to be found. Georgia, nope. A&M, nope. Texas, nope. OU's competition for Zane Rowe is North Carolina, Oregon, and Washington. Now, I will say this. Nothing is done here. He's not silent committed to Oklahoma. He hasn't silent committed anywhere. There's, 2 weeks left, 3 weeks left? Close to 3 weeks left until he makes the decision. And there's still some runway left for any and all of these 4 schools to establish themselves as the destination. But if we're playing the follow the visits game, Zane Rowe has been to Oklahoma more than any of those other 3 schools combined. Probably twice as many times as those other 3 schools combined. So when you see Oklahoma in that Final Four, surrounded by those 3 schools that you think, man, they really don't have any business on Zane Rowe's short list, I tend to think you're feeling pretty good. Now, he gave some quotes to Sam Spiegelman that cast some suspicion upon his feelings and his leaning 3 weeks out from the decision. And I think that's what has people apprehensive. The way I see it, Grayson, and again, Oklahoma doesn't have anything finalized with Zane Rowe. They still got to win this thing down the stretch. But the way I see it, this feels to me like a kid who's just kind of trying to play up the drama a little bit, especially because the school that he has been favoring from some time was the school to which he was committed previously in his recruitment. So I would still be quite surprised if it's not Oklahoma for Zane Rowe. I will also add this. In the event that Zane Rowe does not choose Oklahoma, what that tells you is that something changed pretty drastically in the final weeks of that process, and I imagine everybody can kind of fill in the gaps there as to what that likely would have been. So it's Oklahoma till it ain't, as far as I'm concerned. And if at any point it ain't, we will discuss it here.
Washington and Oregon have moved to the forefront in Rowe's recruitment after a wave of in-home visits. That's a direct quote from your colleague, Sam Spiegelman.
Mm-hmm.
Not buying it?
Moved to the forefront is a little bit different than moved to the front. Because
this is true. Yes.
Sam has also said in recent days he still believes it's going to be Oklahoma.
Yes.
So I don't think he has entered a prediction, but he has been saying for quite some time he's bullish on OU. OU has the inside track for Zane Rowe. So again, I think the impression that I get is that I know there are some conversations happening between Rowe and his camp. I know everything's not completely settled, but I feel as though Zane Rowe would like to be a Sooner. And in the meantime, he's just trying to make sure that he doesn't kind of completely kill the vibe surrounding his announcement, or the suspense, I should say, kill the suspense surrounding his announcement. I'm going to be very, very shocked if he is a North Carolina Tar Heel, an Oregon Duck, or a Washington Husky on March 13th.
So basically what we're saying is that Zane Rowe is going to be a character if he ends up in Norman.
No, he's the opposite of a character. Like he's a very straight up, transparent dude for the most part.
It doesn't sound like it.
I get it when it comes to this decision and this announcement, because he's already been committed to this school once, and I think everybody that's been following the recruitment for quite some time knows that OU has always been either 1 or 1A for Rowe throughout the process.
Yeah.
So you want to play up the drama, man? Hey, that's your right. That's absolutely your right. He's a highly regarded blue chip dude. Sounds as though he's got some people in his camp that might not be entirely on the same page about Oklahoma, but if it's the kid's decision in the end, and it's usually the kid's decision in the end, not always, but it usually is, I do believe he's going to wind up playing for Miguel Chavis at Oklahoma. So,
interesting.
Not saying that one is completely just worth counting as a verbal. Can't take anything for granted in recruiting, but feel pretty good about where things are at with Oklahoma and Zane Rowe, assuming they iron out the final details that need to be ironed out over the last 3 weeks here. By the way, this was crazy. This is kind of off topic. This came across my feed on twitter.com earlier this afternoon, courtesy of the OU Daily. Human remains have reportedly been found on OU's campus.
Yeah, I saw this.
At the construction site of the new Life Sciences Laboratory. The story's even crazier.
Uh-huh.
If you read the story, the quote from the OU Marketing and Communications Office, which I guess was handling the
dissemination of information.
I guess the dissemination of the info regarding this whole situation. They said, based on preliminary evaluation, there are no findings to suggest criminal activity. Early indications suggest the remains date to the early 1900s.
Yeah, I saw that.
There have been bodies buried underneath the illustrious University of Oklahoma's campus for a century plus.
Hey, man, what were y'all Sooners doing over here at the turn of the century?
Listen, man. I wasn't around back then.
Clearly.
I don't know anybody who was around back then. Very different times back then. But that's wild. You're just digging up bodies that have been down there for 100 years. All trying to do is build a new life sciences laboratory, and you're digging up bodies.
See, I'm not going to lie. If I was trying to build a life sciences center, and in the process I excavated some human remains, I'd probably move the life sciences center.
Bad omen, huh?
Yeah.
Death underneath the life sciences center.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Maybe not.
That doesn't sound fun.
Big Sky Sooner says, when I die, I'll be sooner dead. Whoever that was lived up to it. Booger McFlippin says, what happened at OU, or what happens at OU, stays at OU.
Okay, yeah, my kids ain't coming here.
It's a great place.
No, I know.
It's a great place. There just happen to be bodies underneath the campus, apparently.
There just happens to be?
Yeah, there just happen to be bodies.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, hey, I didn't know there were any bodies until today, so what you don't know can't hurt you, right?
This is also true. Wait till HBO sends a crew over here and makes a documentary out of this.
Dink says, Steelman's past coming back to haunt him. Who did he bury on campus? I don't think even Steely was alive back then. Gator says, what? Grayson has kids?
No, I don't have kids.
Not that you know of, at least.
That was supposed to remain unsaid. No, I don't have any kids.
Bob from Cement says, you should see the bodies that were buried when David Boren was there. Crazy times, man. There has to be, it's like, somebody in the comments section said, yeah, they used to bury the old cadavers from anatomy school when they were done with them. Is it that simple? Is the explanation that simple? We have a mystery on our hands? We need to go full Hardy Boys?
Kill a Horse on the YouTube chat with a very interesting point. Well, this is Native American land.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
We know the Native American history once Europeans got here.
Derive conspiracy theories as you wish. 405 Taylor says, tell Grayson the story of Mex the dog allegedly buried under Owen Field. Do you know that story?
No.
Yeah, apparently. Allegedly. There's a dog buried under Owen Field. Mex the dog.
Is this like some nefarious play or something, or?
No, it's just.
Oh, somebody just wanted to bury their dog under it.
No, I forget the lore with Mex, but he was like inextricably linked to the university in some capacity, and so when he died, they allegedly buried him underneath Owen Field.
One Star's Take My Strong Hand says, so it's the newly named Death Sciences Center.
Apparently so. Futurist Josh says, only blue bloods have been around long enough to have century-old bodies buried. Amen to that. Ryan in Jacksonville, gladiator combat used to be a D1 sport. Oh, man. Human remains discovered on the University of Oklahoma's campus. What a place. What a school. Never disappoints. Never disappoints. Hey, you know what? Let's dig into our Friday film study, Grayson, because this is a guy whose name we brought up yesterday as we shift back to talking some sports. Kyron Brown out of Amarillo, Texas, picked up an offer from Oklahoma yesterday at the wide receiver position. Now, as we discussed, Oklahoma has 2 wide receiver commits right now. They're both scheduled to OV in the summer. There's no noise surrounding, and I should say there's no active noise surrounding an imminent decommitment for either Damari DeJean or Trayvon Hall, but there's an understanding that other schools are involved and will continue to be involved. Oklahoma's in hot pursuit of Graydon Howell, but they have offered and are keeping warm, if you will, several other wide receiver targets, of which Kyron Brown is the most recent example. And upon examining the tape, Grayson, I like what I see with Kyron Brown. I get the hype. I get what Jim Nagy and Emmett Jones and the whole brain trust see with this kid.
I like him too. I mean, number one, he is going to pop onto Jim Nagy and his staff's radar because he fits the traits checkbox. He's 6'2", about 180 to 190 pounds. So, check mark there on college-ready body for a wide receiver. Nice speed, even better route running. And he has such an understanding of space. And somebody coached him with this. Either that or he's just a very intelligent football player. Because the route running I'm talking about isn't winning off the line of scrimmage, isn't burning people deep. It's how he operates against zone coverage. Did you notice this when you watched his tape?
Mm-hmm.
The way he's not even running. He's just kind of like, sifting around, making himself available for his quarterback. But he never covers himself.
Nope.
Once he uncovers, he never covers himself. So he's got just such a fluid awareness of the game of football. Think Travis Kelce, right? How he and Patrick Mahomes just find ways to uncover, and then boom, once you're open, stay open. So you're not going to have to teach this kid how to stay open. So I look at football intellect that is next level. I look at plus size and plus skills in that range. I like the kid.
Jolly Boy in Amarillo wants to know, what high school does he go to in Amarillo? He goes to Paulo Duro.
Yes.
So a couple D1 level kids there. Him and then Deuce Reese as well. But he's excited about the offer. Touched base with him yesterday. He's really excited to get down to Oklahoma in the spring for spring ball. And I think it's really just going to come down to how hard Oklahoma pushes for him. Do they push for him? Because if they do, I think they're going to have a very strong chance at landing this kid. I want to know if he's 6'2", because he's listed at 6'2". The movement skills are exceptional if he is indeed 6'2". He's got great acceleration, appears to have solid top-end speed. And like you said, he just has a feel for space that enables him to operate very naturally as a wide receiver. His numbers from his junior season aren't super eye-popping. He caught, I believe, 38 passes for 700-ish yards. So the numbers aren't going to fly off the screen at you. But when you turn on the tape, you see the skills of a guy that you can get excited about. You see a skill set that you can get excited about at wide receiver. And if he is indeed 6'2", I haven't seen any verified measurements. I don't know if there are any verified measurements on a kid from West Texas. But if he is indeed 6'2", yeah, this kid's a take for me.
We got some breaking news.
What would that be?
In the college football world, a judge has denied Joey Aguilar's preliminary injunction, making him ineligible to play in the 2026 season.
Okay, good. That needed to happen. Glad we got that out of the way. We didn't need another year of Joey Aguilar. Trinidad Chambliss's case.
Makes
sense. It makes sense. He is eligible or should be eligible for a medical redshirt to be applied to his 2022 season. There is no such exemption that could be applicable to Joey Aguilar's situation. So, by the way, status quo, not sure this is going to come as a shock to anybody, but don't really like Owen Heineke's chances right now to get that extra year either. So,
but like you and I talked about, what would, other than letter of the law versus spirit of the law, what would necessitate him, if a judge is looking at the rules that are currently set forth, what would necessitate the judge saying, yeah, you can go ahead and play and circumvent the NCAA rules?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's fundamentally it is kind of an appeal to emotion, right? Like, the crux of the argument is...
It's always been that.
Exactly. The crux of the argument is, hey, if you're going to let all these other guys play, why not let Owen Heineke play too? But, yeah, strictly letter of the law, he's now eligible to play in 2026, and it doesn't seem like he's going to gain eligibility to play in 2026, which, again, I don't think we're going to see a drawn-out legal battle over it. Owen Heineke is content with the fallback option because the fallback option for him is to get drafted in April and go make a 53-man roster somewhere, which is a pretty good fallback, Grayson.
Yeah.
If that were my fallback in life, I wouldn't be worried about this type of thing either.
No, and Oklahoma covered its bases by bringing in Cole Sullivan.
Yes, indeed. Who is really good and will be really good this fall for Oklahoma, if healthy. 405-651-3439 is the First Liberty Bank text line. We got one segment to go. Hit us up if you so desire. We will hit your texts coming up next here on The Ref. The home of Sooner fans. This is Locked In.
The Ref Radio Sports Network is powered statewide by the insurance adjusters at Brown O'Haver. Fire, wind, theft, or tornado, we can help. Call 405-735-5510.
Are you ready for something presidential? Well, during the President's Day sales event at Seth Wadley Dodge in Pauls Valley, you'll get the presidential treatment. At Seth Wadley Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Pauls Valley, we always keep the presidential selection, presidential prices, and a world-class presidential service. Right now, until the end of the week, you can take $13,000 off MSRP on select new 2026 Ram 1500 Bighorns and Ram Laramie Crew Cab 4x4s with 10 to choose from. Plus, make no payments for 90 days. And always get America's best full-size truck powertrain warranty of 10 years and 100,000 miles. And always get the presidential treatment with Seth's Promise. Tell them, Seth.
That's my promise of oil changes and engines for life on new or used gas or diesel at no additional cost to you.
Oh, and if you have any challenges, just ask for me, Joseph Dabrowski. Get to the store with more. Seth Wadley Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on I-35, exit 72 in Pauls Valley, or click SethWadleyDodge.com.
Stock number D23858.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Mathew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
Ready for a sweet escape or something spicy? Treat yourself at the 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A at 12th and Alameda. Introducing frosted sodas and floats. Choose any of your favorite fountain beverages for a frosted treat or served as a classic float. Be sure and try the brand new avocado sriracha BLT. Don't forget we're your home for catering. From nugget trays to mac and cheese, we'll make your next party or team event a big hit. The 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A. Call 405-310-3189 or use the Chick-fil-A One app for pickup and delivery today.
Tired of feeling pressured by salespeople when shopping for auto insurance? At Right Way Insurance, there's no hard sell, just a clear, straightforward approach. We work with multiple insurance companies to give you the best options and rates with no gimmicks. You'll get the right coverage tailored to your needs, all while avoiding hidden fees and confusing policies. So if you're ready for a better experience with auto insurance, visit rightwayinsuranceok.com or call 405-607-6014 for your free quote today. Right Way Insurance, no pressure, just the right insurance for you.
The Ref is once again your home for chaos. Every game-changing hit.
Long fly ball to left. Track. Wall. Gone.
Every strikeout.
Got him. Swing it.
Every defensive gem.
He caught it. He caught it.
Every game. All year.
And you can unhitch the wagon.
The Ref has you covered.
Catch Sooner Baseball this weekend versus Coppin State, Friday at 4, Saturday at 2, and Sunday at 11 right here on the Ref and worldwide on the KREF app.
They say if you don't like the weather in Oklahoma, wait 5 minutes and check it again. Nope, not there yet. Ah, that's more like it. Being comfortable is important, and if it's -5 degrees or 100 degrees, Norman Air has you covered. Our impeccable quality and unbeatable service is what sets us apart from our competitors. It's just part of our mission to keep Oklahoma comfortable. Visit normanair.com for all your heating, air, plumbing, and electrical needs. Norman Air, service to the max.
It's Ram Truck Month here at Lander CDJR of Norman with America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile truck warranty. Take up to $17,000 off of MSRP on select new 2026 Ram 1500 Laramies in stock, or get $12,000 off of MSRP on new 2026 Ram 2500 Crew Cab Tradesman. And always get straightforward internet pricing with no special add-ons when you get here. Ram 1500 stock number TN179216, Ram 2500 stock number TG168925.
To the First Liberty Bank text line we go here on Locked In. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton with you, wrapping up here on a Friday. 405-651-3439 is how you shoot us a text. Glenn from Nashville says, couldn't disagree with you more on the Trinidad Chambliss ruling. Regardless of whether or not you think he deserves to have another year, college football does not need some backwater Mississippi State court judge determining the eligibility of an Ole Miss player. Not a good precedent. I agree that the way it was handled, Glenn, was kind of circus-esque. It was very obviously a kangaroo court. But I will say this, like, to me, and for the longest time, I was a vocal proponent, or I should say a vocal opponent of Trinidad Chambliss getting that 6th year because I didn't believe there was any grounds for him to get a 6th year. But then the smoking gun for me was the broadcast that somebody dug up from his time at Ferris State where they were talking about the fact that he had medically redshirted in 2022 as opposed to just sat the bench that whole year and lost a year of eligibility. So it was not a new contention, and it was evidently an understanding, even while Trinidad Chambliss was at Ferris State, that he had been medically unable to perform throughout the 2022 season. So that in and of itself changed my opinion. That said, the whole deal probably should have been handled by somebody who was much less partisan about the whole situation, because that was just a bad look.
Yeah, no, two things could be true here. One, the way the court handled this was nothing short of laughable. I mean, that is very obvious to everybody involved. But at the same time, Trinidad Chambliss should be eligible to play football in college in 2026. So did we take the wrong road to get to the right destination? Yes. But ultimately, we got to the right destination.
So this question has been asked a lot. And it's an understandable question if you don't have a super intimate understanding of the Owen Heineke timeline. Ryan in Jacksonville asked, didn't Owen Heineke have an injury and miss a year as well? Why was that not the focus of the appeal instead of playing lacrosse? Because, Ryan, the manner of his red shirt in the 2022 season really doesn't matter as far as eligibility is concerned. So here's the Owen Heineke timeline. He played lacrosse at Ohio State in 2021. That cost him a year of eligibility. In 2022, he redshirted at Oklahoma. Evidently, he was also injured that year. Whether he's injured or not, whether it's an elective redshirt or whether it's a medical redshirt, it's a red shirt regardless. The 2022 season does not count against him. But after that, he played in every game for Oklahoma from 2023 to 2025. So he used 1 year of eligibility to play lacrosse, and he used 3 years of eligibility to play the last 3 seasons at Oklahoma. In order for him to gain another season of eligibility in 2026, what happened in 2022 doesn't matter. What you essentially have to have wiped or considered by the NCAA or a court of law to be inconsequential is that 2021 season and that year of eligibility that he spent playing lacrosse. He redshirted in 2022 anyway. It doesn't matter how you categorize that. There's nothing that happened in 2022 that would impact the case one way or another. Hopefully that makes sense. From Tuttle asks, Parker, would you pronounce Haggai once more?
How did you pronounce that?
No, Haggai.
Haggai? You're talking about the book in the Bible, right?
We were having a spirited conversation about the minor prophets in the Bible yesterday.
How the hell did y'all get on that topic?
Because Steely was talking about a Rush song in which Geddy Lee sang the lyrics, "The meek shall inherit the earth."
Uh-huh.
And Steely was talking about what a great lyricist Neil Peart was. And I said, Steely, you do know Neil Peart didn't come up with those words, right? And he said, wait, who did? And I said, that would have been the Lord Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's in the Bible.
Yes. And so we got around it. He was trying to guess what book that was in, the words, the meek shall inherit the earth. And he guessed Ezekiel, and then we got on a whole Old Testament kick where he was trying to he was spitballing as to what each of the minor prophets sounds like. I forget what it was, Nahum or Habakkuk or
Habakkuk?
I've always said Habakkuk.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know. My mother taught me Habakkuk.
Really?
Yeah.
It does get said quite prevalently either way. I don't know if one is correct and one is not, but I have heard it pronounced both ways.
So you pronounce it Haggai?
Yes.
Oh. I just say Haggai.
I'm sure that's fine too. You know, when we're talking about the pronunciations of old words and names like that.
Right.
You know.
5-star Sooner bump on the First Liberty Bank text line. He guessed Ezekiel Elliott.
Yes, somehow Ezekiel became Ezekiel Elliott too.
Did he actually say that?
Yes. Brian in Spring, Texas says, Parker, I'm from Amarillo. We're in the Panhandle, not West Texas. Does Amarillo really not consider themselves part of West Texas? And he followed up and said, don't group us in with Lubbock. Because, I was going to say, Lubbock, man, those people wear the West Texas, like they wear that label like a badge of honor. So I didn't realize the good folks of Amarillo
I didn't either.
Didn't want to get looped in with the Lubbock people.
I
I understand why Lubbock people are a little bit different. But, yeah, I mean.
I've always considered Amarillo West Texas.
I always have too, but I guess no longer, Brian. Thank you. LaDonna from Lubbock, there you are. You survived, LaDonna. You survived the haboob. Welcome back to the show. She said, Grayson and I had the same Bible teachers. I guess LaDonna's on the Habakkuk side of the debate as well. And she said, Amarillo is West Texas, but it's definitely not Lubbock.
Is anywhere Lubbock?
Lubbock is one of one.
Uh-huh.
Puerto Rican Sooner says, you're downright un-American if you don't want to see Trinidad play another year. The man is a stud. It's good for college football to have Trinidad Chambliss back another year. I mean, regardless of how it happened, I will be glad to watch that guy play football for another season. Now, when he comes to Norman, it's going to be a little bit problematic because they struggled to defend Trinidad Chambliss more than they struggled to defend anybody else last season. He gave them issues.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a handful.
So Ole Miss is coming to Norman?
Isn't that what we determined?
Yes. No, you were the one that thought they were going to Oxford.
Yes, that is true. Yes, that is. I was in the wrong there. But yes. 918 listener said, I was listening to Sooner Scoop yesterday, and to me it sounded like OU's chances with the Heineke appeal aren't looking good. Maybe I heard wrong. You did not hear wrong. There's not a ton of optimism there as it pertains to Owen Heineke getting that extra year of eligibility, unfortunately. Jim from Tuttle says, it's pronounced Haggai. That I have never heard.
No, that's the first one.
I've heard Haggai. I've heard Haggai. I have never heard Haggai. I'm going to have to go down the rabbit hole when we get off the air, man. I'm going to have to make sure I've been saying my minor prophets correctly all these years.
Your dad's a pastor, right?
Yes, he is.
Your dad have all those commentaries and translator
books. Oh,
books
yeah,
and
man.
all
He's
that.
got
my dad's got like a whole shelf of them.
Growing up, he had the Bible software that you'd have to subscribe to for like $700 a year. It's like, I feel pretty qualified to speak on these matters, but I certainly don't claim to know everything. Maybe I am the idiot. Usually I am the idiot. Last text of the day. Outlaw Devil says, Parker, I'm living outside DFW. What Sooner targets should I go to see next season? That's a really interesting question because, we led off the show talking about the reality that Oklahoma seems to be emphasizing the state of Texas less just because it's a free-for-all down there, more so than it ever has been before. You have more programs recruiting the state of Texas heavily than ever before. That said, you do have 3 OU commits right now in the 2027 cycle from the state of Texas, and a 4th in the class of 2028, I should say. Now, all but one of those guys are south of you. Luke Wilson is right there in the DFW area at South Lake Carroll. He's worth watching. He's a fun player. He's a mean offensive lineman. But if you're okay with driving a couple hours, you don't mind taking a little bit of a road trip, here's what I would recommend, man. Go see Keldred Ben. Keldred Ben is a fun football player down in Montgomery, Texas. 5'10", 222 pounds. They think he's going to be the closest thing to Samaj P. Ryan that they've had since Samaj P. Ryan. So if you can go see Keldred Ben, make that trip. You want to go somewhere where you can get a little bit better bite to eat before you watch a high school game? I would say Spring, Texas is probably the move. Go watch Micah Rhodes. He's a ton of fun as well. All right, folks. That is all for today. That is all for this week here on Locked In. It is a wrap for me and Grayson Singleton. We will be right back here in these studios. Same time, same place on Monday afternoon to talk more OU football and Cruton with you. In the meantime, don't go anywhere. The Rush kicks off next. Tyler and Teddy are coming up. Take it easy.